Hey, what is that, Mario Brothers?
What's going on? All right, wait, let's do this. Hey, all right.
Hey.
We're live. Oh, there we go. Hang on, I'm trying to. There we go. Oh, sorry, that was our friends at Fireside. What's up?
Sounds like we're at a rave.
Yes.
Cool. Well,
so good to be back.
Fireside.
Hey, welcome everybody to Crossing the Streams, episode 58. Can you believe it, guys? 58 amazing episodes. We've got a great show for you today, but we're going to kick things off with our fabulous guest doing and our theme song, which is charting #1 in 17 countries.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Nate, take it away.
Here's the story of some lonely fellows. That's
the worst start ever.
That's the first line.
Yeah, keep going.
Hey, you gotta have a sip of bourbon.
You gotta read the
Oh,
panels,
you mean
right?
the whole okay.
Yeah, the whole sentence, Nate. The whole one sentence.
It's the tune of the Brady Bunch. Go.
Okay.
Well, take
Who
another
spend
drink.
way too much time watching the TV. All of them have jobs and friends. Well, not really. Just between you and me.
Ron, take it away.
They made a live show out of their hobby. Every TV watcher's TV watching dream. Jeff runs Sal and Bob, and there's Howard. They call it Crossing Streams.
I'm going to go. And then one day they went live on all the platforms. You could hear the people laugh and shout and scream. I should make a sound effect that goes under that. Still can't find another word that rhymes with platform. But man, we cross the streams. Everyone, we cross the streams.
Cross the streams.
We cross the
Cross
streams.
the streams.
That's
That's
the
the
way.
way we do it. We cross the streams.
All right. It doesn't get any better.
Nate,
does
I
it?
want to
line.
thank you. I wouldn't even call that mailing it in. It wasn't even emailing it. You sent a raven. You understand? That's what happened.
That was,
Oh my
that
God.
was-
Well,
when we do our retrospective worst ever.
as long as I have a best something.
It was
best
a
worst
fucking post-it. No.
Well, if I had it,
Why is Jerry asking if I'm kidnapped? What's going on? Peanuts. That was so anywho, this is fun. So we got a special guest, Nate Armbruster. This is his second visit. He came back, one, because we love him. And he's one of my best pals in comedy and podcasting, but also he's got a new podcast out. So we wanted to give him a chance to talk about it. He's also the producer of the Sal and Bob show. So everything that's good about their show, it's
Yeah.
it's cousin.
That is true. Despite me busting on you, you
Oh,
make us
anytime.
sound great every week.
He does.
it's an honor to be made fun
No,
of
it's
by
not. But
Bob.
that's
By
fine.
Bob
I'll take
Phillips.
it. You go ahead and say that.
So anyway,
Venmo him $20, right?
Hey, tell everyone about your new podcast.
So my new podcast, it's called Weekend Up Nate with Nate Armbruster. That's me. And it's basically a weekly recap of anything kind of trending stories from the week prior are the topics. And usually I'll have a comedian guest on, someone funny, or sometimes I'll do it myself if a guest cancels. But it's a lot of fun. It's like
you have guests already canceling, and yet my phone has not rang once.
yes.
What's your name, Nate or Carl? Anyway, okay. So, look at hey Dan Spihar, what's up, buddy? I said Jerry with new background.
Come on, Jerry.
For all the super fans of the show, I moved my desk, so now I have a different background.
Super fans.
For all the super fans of the show, like Jerry, that would notice that my background's different. We've made it, boys.
Nobody noticed I changed my background.
Like my
2 weeks
Mackinac
ago.
shirt.
Yeah. That's a good. It's Mackinac.
Michigan shirt. Anyway, so welcome everybody to Crossing the Streams. Ron, I'm going to bring you on stage. We are on the Fireside app. We're on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, rocking it out. But so Crossing the Streams is the ultimate show that answers the question, hey, I just finished watching. Hey, what should I be watching? And this fills in all the blanks for you. You got to turn your phone off, Ron.
Yeah, sorry. No, it was me. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm muted. I did it right this time, Jeffrey.
So anyway, so we're here to talk about shows. If you head over to YouTube, we have 57 and slowly 58. This is the 58th. So as we talk, we're building the 58th hour. It doesn't exist right now, but it's existing as I say it. That's kind of meta. It's kind of meta. So there's 57 hours of TV binge watching suggestions that await you on YouTube. Go search out the Jeff Dwoskin Show, follow, and you'll also be notified whenever we go live. So we got cool stuff. We got some cool shows we're going to talk about in just a little bit. If you're on the Fireside app and you want to join the conversation, just raise your hand. Happy to do so once we start talking about shows. We were talking before the show. I just did my first Wordle today, which isn't a TV show.
Are you going to show us your Wordle?
I did. My Wordle is
girdle. I'm sorry.
I did. I got it like on the fourth try, so I felt pretty good about it. I
still don't understand it.
You just guess a word, and then you remember that. What's the game with the like where you put like the marbles, and then it tells you, well, that marble's in the wrong spot, and this one
called marbles.
Mind something. There's like mind something.
Oh yes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So it's kind of like that with words. It's kind of like that with words, you know?
Mine Hunter? No. What was it? I don't know what that was, but
I can't remember.
No, I don't know.
Dude, it's such an epic waste of time in real estate.
It's not Yahtzee. I don't know what the hell it is.
It's not good. I don't know what the big hype about it is. And yet I did post my score this morning.
I only went to check it out today because someone did it and then wrote mic drop. Like
yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that's this must be a big deal. And then the other big thing that I did this week was, are you guys on Nextdoor app?
Yes.
No. Okay, so Nextdoor app is so annoying, right? They'll be like, some of my grass isn't as tall as my other grass, or there's sudden white things on my deck. Those big splotches of white things on my deck. Are somebody sneaking into my backyard and putting paint on my deck? No. I mean, are you not aware of birds? Are you unaware of birds? So I decided I went on Nextdoor app and I wrote, ugh, all this rain falling onto my yard, getting my grass and my clothes wet. Angry face, angry face, angry face, right? And so I just kind of let it go. And then some people are like, didn't get that it was a joke. And then finally one guy figures out they're trolling, and then they start playing with me because when they make comments, like they start putting in their fake problems. Like, and so it became a whole thread of me answering their fake problems. Like one person's like, oh my God, I can totally relate. I keep putting ice in my water and it disappears. And I'm like, simple solution, just keep your house colder, just like little things like that. Like someone's like, but the food in my fridge is disappearing, what should I do? Should I call a detective? I said, save your money on the detective. Ask first the guy who turns the light off and on. He probably has some answers, right? Like, so it's little things like that. So then what happens is a lot of that fun going on. And then, of course, to protect her real name, I'll use the name. What's it called? What's that? Karen? Karen shows up. A Karen shows up. And it's like, why are you using this app for this? Apparently you must be bored. So I reply, apparently? And then she's like, she says something. Oh, she goes, if you're so bored, why don't you donate your time to charity or something? I go, do you just go insert yourself into conversations you have no interest in? Is that your role on this app? And then I kind of snapped at her a bit. I clapped back at her, and then people started coming at her.
You clapped back at her? You clapped.
Yeah. And then people started coming at her, and it was kind of funny because then I just sat back and let them take care of it. They're like, this is the funniest thing we've ever read on this app. Shut up. God. You know what I mean?
You're going to get
started
off.
Ryan on next.
Oh, hey, Steve Pierce says, wow, is Jeff still talking? Oh, congratulations. Hey, Nate's laughing. Congratulations, Steve. That's the first time Steve ever got a laugh.
Hey,
Steve!
Love you,
nice
Steve.
to see you,
Get it.
Steve.
Totally good. All right. Well, we got a really great show for you today. Let's kind of rock it out here. What do we got? We got last week. If you missed last week's episode, we talked about the Harry Potter reunion. We have Zach Stone is going to be famous, the new Matrix movie, and the Tender Bar. So head on over. That's episode 57. But Jeff, we're on episode 58. That's right. We're going to talk about the Great, Brazen, Yellowjackets, and Aeronauts. So we got a full episode right now with us.
We do.
So let's get going, and we're going to talk about the Great, Ron Lippett.
Yeah. So
Great.
I have to tell you, this one really snuck up on me. This is yet another of my COVID watches on the couch when I was sitting there doing nothing but feeling gross. A friend of mine said, "Hey, you got to check the show out." So, have any of you guys seen this? Any of you guys seen
No,
The
I
Great?
hadn't even heard of
I
it.
think I saw half of the first episode, and not because I didn't like it. It was just something I was thumbing through.
So I didn't know what to make of it. I had never even heard of it before it was recommended to me. This is with Elle Fanning. Elle Fanning is a absolute favorite of my kids because she played Aurora on their very favorite Disney movie, Maleficent. So, boy, could this not be a further about face for Elle Fanning? She goes from being a Disney character, and a beloved one at that, to a foul-mouthed, very, very naked and dark show where she talks about all kinds of disgusting things, and it's a very funny show. For those of you guys that don't know the backdrop, The Great is a very satirical, sarcastic view of the rise of Catherine the Great of Russia, and how she comes about how she comes to power and absolutely changes Russia in the 1700s. She makes Russia from a kind of a hidden behind the wall empire into the most progressive, artistic, science-driven country in all of Europe and Asia, and it was kind of like the high mark for Russia. And that, from a historical standpoint, is pretty much where it ends, because all the rest of the show is made up. It's all the story between her and her husband, and hilarious stories about how she plans and ultimately comes to power at Peter, who was Peter the Great's son, at this idiot's expense. And by the way, the guy who plays Peter is an actor named Nicholas Hoult, I was looking at him on the show, and I'm like, where do I know this guy from? He's been in a number of things, including X-Men shows, but I knew him from the biopic of Tolkien. I don't know if any of you guys saw Tolkien or not, but I thought that was a really good show. One of the other real fun characters on the show is Catherine and Peter's kind of advocate, is a guy named Gwillem Lee, which I don't expect that any of you guys know who that is. But Gwillem Lee is the guy who played in the Queen Bohemian Rhapsody. He played Brian May. If you guys remember that.
Yeah,
character.
okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but with bigger hair, a lot more hair.
With a lot more hair.
He did a great job.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
Actually, I have to tell you, just talking about that movie, I thought he did the best job in the whole show in terms of representing the actual person. But getting back to The Great, this is a funny show, and it's dark and twisted. You got to have dark and twisted humor if you're going to enjoy the show, which I have. It's very British. There's a lot of absolutely inappropriate things that go on in this show. It's all kinds of murder and cannibalism and sex and all kinds of taboo topics that they make fun of just over and over. And it's so funny to see Elle Fanning, who is just the most innocent looking child in the world. She's 21 years old. So it's perfectly appropriate, but she's like a child in this movie, in this series. And just does such an epically great job of somehow keeping a straight face while delivering just epically hilarious lines throughout this show, which, by the way, is 10 episodes, each episode between 45 and 60 minutes. They're now just finished their second season during COVID. It is up for a 3rd and 4th season. In the meantime, it has already been nominated for multiple Emmy Awards for Best Series, Best Supporting Cast, and Best Actor for Elle Fanning. And I got to tell you, this is a terrific show. It's absolutely your thing if you're into British comedy. Absolutely your
I
thing.
am. You're selling me on this. You're hard selling me.
It really is a great show. And I have to tell you, I'm surprised it hasn't gotten a bigger following this far. I think it will, but it's fantastic, and the people that do know love it. So highly recommend. Very enjoyable. Just don't expect it to be historically accurate at all. As a matter of fact, the show is actually called The Great, an occasionally true story. which I think is very funny, because right off the bat, this show is not going to take itself seriously at all. The 2nd season is actually called The Great, an almost entirely untrue story.
I just looked up Elle Fanning, and I couldn't distinguish her from so many other Fannings.
How many Fannings are there?
Well, we all know Dakota Fanning, right?
So, Dakota,
yeah.
And they picture her with, who's this other one? It's another one, Amanda Seyfried, whatever. I don't know. It's like that. This triumvirate, and I never know who the hell they are.
Yeah. There's a bunch of these young actors. I will tell you, it's being 50 something. It's really hard to see these amazing talents that are literally like less than half my age. Yeah. It's hard to see that.
I feel you, Ron.
But God bless them, because they are super talented, these people, and this whole cast of The Great seems to be very young, and seems to be having a really, really great time with us. And if you want some extra fun, just YouTube The Great outtakes, because as I said, it's all satirical and comedy, and it's impossible for them to deliver, I have to believe, half of these lines without them having to retake it, because they're just so utterly ridiculous and hilarious that I'm sure they have to stop and retake it. So check it out. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's definitely a show that you need an episode or two to get into the rhythm of it. With most British humor, there's kind of a rhythm that Americans have to kind of get into before you kind of understand the vibe of it. And this show is part of kind of that. But once you get into it, I promise you're going to love it.
You sold me. I'm going to watch it tomorrow.
And this is on Hulu.
This is on Hulu. Now, for me, I have not paid the extra bucks to do it commercial free. And that, I will say, that does affect the show, because having to wait for a minute and a half, 5-6 times a show is really annoying. It kind of cuts into the rhythm. I can't
imagine what life would be like having to watch a television program constantly being interrupted.
I got to work on that, because I don't know if any of you guys have
imagine what that would be like.
The Verizon triple play. There's a way to, I don't know. There's got to be some way for me to get rid of the commercials, because I can't figure it out. So, but there it is. Enjoy that show, guys. I think you will.
All right, that was exciting. Thank you.
It was very thorough.
I'd say that was great.
That was great.
Not phoned in, not emailed in.
Get ready, Bob.
All right. Well, let's see if Nate can talk about Yellowjackets better than he did the theme song.
Oh God, I'll do my best. I don't know if it's going to be as thorough as Ron. By the way, before I get started, everyone must know Bob Venmo'd me $20.
Oh, just now?
Yeah, for as Sal said. Anyway,
I did. So inside, so insular.
So Yellowjackets, have you guys seen it?
No. Tell us all about it.
I'll tell you all about it. It's a Showtime show, first of all, and I had not heard of this until last week, I think it was, and a lot of my friends, or I saw people posting about it, and I'm like, what the heck is the show Yellowjackets? So finally, I got a hold of someone's Showtime login and watched all 10 episodes in the weekend. It's
my lawyer asked me to say that we do not condone such behavior.
Anyway, yes.
I just got handed a note.
So it's about this high school girls soccer team involved in a plane crash in the Canadian wilderness, right? And they end up having to survive or trying to survive this plane crash. And it kind of takes place in like two whatever timelines or whatever. The girls in high school in 1996, right? And then 20 years later with the ones who survived. I mean, that's not in any way a spoiler because you meet them right in the first episode. You meet some of the survivors in their current modern day life and dealing with the trauma and all the stuff that they went through. And I liked it a lot. It's got everything. This is what's great about it is
does it have nudity?
Yeah, it does.
Oh.
I think it does.
No, they're dead and cannibalized, but yeah, mostly.
So there is a cannibal aspect to it. That's what I mean. It's got everything, and then at the same time, it's got everything.
For those of you on your checklist of everything includes cannibalism.
Yes,
this show is for you.
And it also, this is the craziest part to me is like, okay, so you take like just a group of high school girls, right, dealing with being in high school as girls, and then on top of that, you're stranded in the wilderness trying to not die, and it just kind of gets crazy. But I liked it a lot.
Jerry Chacon said that's like Alive. Yes, meets Lost, meets Tarantino inside a Taco Bell, inside a KFC.
That's more succinct. That's more succinct
than Lost, meets Tarantino inside a Taco Bell, inside a KFC.
So how many seasons is the show?
This is the first season, and it just wrapped last Sunday, and I don't think it's been confirmed yet on the second season, but I have a feeling it will be.
I'm sure there'll be because a lot of people are talking about this show, so I'm sure there'll be another season.
Big names in it. Christina Ricci.
What period of time does it cover in order to have like a second season? How long is the first season in like real time, in their time?
I think a few months.
A few months, okay.
And I don't want to give too much away how it ends, but.
Nate, you've given nothing away.
I believe it. Don't you remember my my last appearance? You have to go back and watch it.
Flashback. Talk to us about Juliette Lewis and Christina Ricci in it.
I do like Juliette Lewis.
Yeah.
Both of them are great. They play older, the modern day for the adult version of the characters in it. And there's
so they have flash forwards?
Yeah, so it cuts back and forth.
Oh, okay. So these are two who clearly survived the rampant cannibalism.
It's an equal parts survival epic, psychological horror story, and coming of age drama. Yellowjackets is a saga of a team of wildly talented high school girls soccer players who become the unlucky survivors of a plane crash. The series chronicles their descent from complicated but thriving teams to savage clans, while also tracking the lives they attempted to piece back together 25 years later. Interesting. So how many people survive?
Ooh, I can't say that.
So it's 1996 or
7? I mean, how much can I give away on here? I don't know. What if somebody wants to watch?
Just everything about the ending.
I will say there is, okay, so I guess spoiler alert if you're that concerned about it, but there are only 4 characters that you're introduced to that survived the crash, but I guess you don't know really if there were more or not, the way they tell the story.
Maybe they were eaten, Nate.
They very well could have been. You don't know what happens.
Well, I'll tell you, this one person on IMDb that only saw 2 episodes says, I'm digging this so far. Great cast, performances, storyline. So I assume this is for an under 35 demographic, but I'm a young 64-year-old. This person says. So, all right, well, that's good.
It is worth a watch.
You liked it. You're 100% in on this. It's worth the 10 hours.
I'm in, and I will tell you, this is how dumb I am. When I first heard about it and I saw the cover art, I thought it was about like human-sized Yellowjackets, and like not one.
Yeah, the poster. I'll put the poster back up. The poster gives zero indication. To what Nate. It's a picture of a girl with her nose bleeding, which would indicate to me like some kind of drug problem, maybe, and a yellow jacket on her cheek with a tear. Is Yellowjackets like the name of their team?
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Halfway through the first episode, I go, oh, it's the name of the soccer team.
Oh.
You really took your whole half episode? I figured it out just from this.
Well,
Just
judging
looking
by
at the
You haven't
cover.
seen it, and I figured it out.
yes, you figured it out much quicker than I did.
Well, Nate and I are drinking. I hear you, Nate. I get it.
I mean, you heard me read my portion of the intro. This wasn't gonna go good.
All right.
I had the words on the screen.
You say it's totally worth it to get into this. All right.
I think so. I think everybody should watch it.
Okay.
I'll give you a Showtime login if you need it. It's not mine.
Though we don't condone that.
Everyone
on
can
Crossing
tweet
the
it,
Stream.
Nate.
I don't condone it, but I'll do it.
Tweet at Nate on Twitter if you need access to Showtime.
Yeah, it does bring up a question though. So I don't have Showtime. Like, what are I know Dexter's on Showtime, but like, what is like the foundational shows on Showtime that keep people logged in there?
Ooh, that I don't know. I think
Dexter?
Dexter, but
Dexter's
Californication is on there.
These
Right?
are all old shows except for
right.
Dexter, which just had a remake or a
Right.
reboot. But
I don't know
all
if
the other networks we're talking about have foundational, like iconic shows.
Yeah.
Showtime doesn't seem to have that.
I think this will be the one that kind of,
Well, Dexter came back and they had 8 million viewers per episode. That was the highest rated Showtime show ever.
and that was between 3 logins.
Great, 8 million views.
Yeah.
Well, only three.
We're all sharing three passwords.
All right. Well, thank you, Nate. We appreciate
Good job, buddy.
you. All right, let's go into Brazen. This looks like a hot romantic show.
Brazzers? Sal, what are you talking about tonight?
I saw that 3 times yesterday.
This is a movie with Alyssa Milano from Who's the Boss fame.
No, I didn't see that one.
So, she plays a hotshot mystery murder writer. She's got many novels that are, very famous. And she has a sister played by, I want to give a shout out to her, Emily Ullerup. I hope I'm saying her name right. She's a beautiful actress and she's really good. She plays Alyssa Milano's sister, and she's a teacher. She's a high school teacher, and she's having marital problems. She's going through a divorce with her husband, and they have one son, and she's trying to get custody of the son, kind of thing. And she's doesn't make much money being a school teacher, so she, without anybody knowing, has this room in her house, and she goes into the room at night when her clients want her to do a dominatrix over the internet. Okay, one of those paid subscriber things. Now, I know Jeff is into that, but I'm not into that stuff. And I want to ask him, how does that work over the internet? I had to literally pause the movie and go, wait, but what does the guy whip himself through the screen? Because it's a dominatrix, you've got to whip the person, right? So how does that happen through the screen? Anyway, she does this on the other side of the screen, and she has many clients. So, and that's kind of the basis of the movie, okay? And then she is murdered. She really is murdered.
Wait, Alyssa Milano is murdered?
No, Emily.
That's too bad.
Her sister Kathleen. So now it's life plays reality, where Alyssa Milano's sister is murdered in her home, and she finds out what she's doing on the side, because that kind of blows her away. She ends up meeting the detective that's going to work on the case. They end up falling in love and having a relationship. So there's some of that going on. And but they get together and try to solve the case. Or Alyssa Milano comes in. Somehow they give her like I don't know if it's a week pass to be a detective. I don't even know how that works. So she became a detective because she writes novels. I swear. I don't know why. And that's kind of the movie. That's the basis of the movie. And then at the end, now she was a high school teacher, kind of the part I left out. Kathleen was a high school teacher, so she had some interesting characters in the high school that, you kind of thought, well, maybe one of those guys did it, right? And then they make you think that maybe the ex-husband did it. So it's that kind of a movie. And then Alyssa Milano goes undercover and goes and becomes a dominatrix herself, like what her sister used to do to trap the person, because he also killed another person too that was like Kathleen. So he's killed 2 girls. So now Alyssa Milano is risking her life to catch this predator that's been killing these dominatrix internet women. And I'm not going to tell. This movie just came out a couple weeks ago, so I do not want to give you the ending. What happens to Alyssa Milano? Does she catch the killer? Does she not? Okay, and
that is. I'm just going to say that is so like Alyssa Milano.
So
to sacrifice herself.
Yeah. To your answer earlier about the whips. How do you do the whips?
Yeah.
Brett Allen had the answer.
Very carefully. Very carefully.
Yeah. But anyway,
Ramus is here. Hey, what's up, Kevin?
Hey, Kevin.
Oh, hey, what's going on, Kev? But anyway, I'm going to give this 3 tomato sauce jars. It's not a very good murder mystery movie. It was poorly done.
I wasn't ready for that.
I guessed the killer halfway through the movie. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I guessed it, and I'm no Columbo, so you know.
I'm afraid Sal actually never.
You're a D'Amelio.
So you figured it out. It's a complex murder mystery. Just for everyone who's paying attention, who's listening, halfway through is 45 minutes because this is only a 90-minute. This is only a 90-minute movie. This complex murder mystery matrix across the web. She somehow becomes a cop for no reason on a day pass. All that is in 90 minutes. You can almost
there's a relationship with the detective. There's about 20 minutes of a relationship with the detective. I don't want to bore you with that. They had, the sex scenes where you just see the shoulders. You know what I mean? And
it's all shoulder.
You only watch Hallmark comedy movies.
She looks great too, by the way. Alyssa Milano looks great. The cast was very good looking. It was almost like I swear to God, it was almost like a Hallmark movie with murder. I mean, you just add a murder scene and you got a Hallmark movie. Or
if only we could just find a Christmas movie with murders. I think Sal would be, in his best life.
It wasn't. I enjoyed watching it because, like Jeff said, it wasn't very long, and but it just didn't go anywhere. Like I said, I solved the I solved the murder. Like
Jerry hated it. Yeah,
Jerry hated it. Okay, yeah. So
the internet did not figure this out. It's not a good movie.
Did you say what?
Emily is very Emily Erlerup. If she's watching the show, she's very attractive and she's a great actress. And Alyssa Milano did a good job too. So the acting.
Did you say where? Did you say where you can watch this? Is it on Netflix?
It's on Netflix. Yeah, it just came out January 13th.
Brazzers. Anybody who's got a Brazzers login, I can borrow.
It's on Crackle Plus.
By the way, can I just say, this whole the racial strife in the country, it's not happening on Brazzers. Everybody seems to get along really well.
Right.
It's always the same ending.
It's so funny.
True.
Woo!
And then if anyone has a Brazzers login for Nate has never met a login he paid for.
Yeah.
Never.
All
right, so this is
Sally.
Nate's
what
got
has
a Mr.
Alyssa
Skin
Milano
login.
been up to besides this movie?
Oh, it was filmed during the pandemic, so they're all wearing masks throughout the but I'm bummed. It was filmed during the pandemic.
Not on Brazzers.
And so
a maskless environment.
So Sal, just to ask the question for the audience that really wants to know, how is Alyssa Milano holding up? Like, how's that working out?
Yeah, she looks great.
She's
Yeah.
40, mid-40s.
She looks absolutely fantastic in this movie. She looks fantastic.
She's a good-looking lady. There's
Uh-huh.
no
Yeah,
question.
she's definitely holding herself up. She looks great. I don't know, how old is she, Jeff? You probably know that. You're probably interviewing her.
I don't know. We have to respect these people for the work they do, not their age and looks.
Well, she's probably
You know,
Not on
as sort of
Brazzers.
a side story. I don't know if you guys have been following this. I hate to interrupt, but Jenna Jameson.
Fred Allen says 49. She's 49. We got
49.
so
She's 49. Okay, Jenna Jameson. Last week it came out. Jenna Jameson said she couldn't walk, and she was blaming it on Guillain-Barré. And I thought, I don't think it's a virus, really. It might have been the latest gangbang. Whatever it was.
Brazzers.
Might have been Brazzers.
How did this get into it? All right. Okay.
All right.
Who's next? Mr. Skin?
Right. Well, we got an awesome show coming up next. This is the Aeronauts.
The
Aeronauts. Bob Phillips is going to take us through the Aeronauts. This, for those of you who tuned in, this is not a boxing documentary.
It is not.
What?
It is not. And this is such a, I'm going to say this. This is so far away, so far afield from my my normal a choice in movies, documentaries, that sort of thing. And I watched it. I watched it for the third time the other day because I can't get enough of this movie. And I don't do that. I really don't. But and the reason is, and let me back up. Let me go all the way to the beginning. This is a story, and it doesn't make any sense that I would love this movie the way I do. I'm obsessed with it. It's 1862 London, okay? And you have Eddie Redmayne and Felicity Jones, two actors that I don't have any particular fondness for, especially Felicity Jones. She's one of the, she's kind of like, she just, there's a few actors that she just can't open her mouth. It's just, will you please enunciate? I can't stand it. But somehow she works in this movie, and she is a scientist, sort of a pseudoscientist to Eddie Redmayne's scientist, who are involved in weather. They believe, Eddie Redmayne believes that in 1862 London that he can predict the weather if he gets up high enough in these balloons and can chart or find evidence of airstreams. Now back then they didn't know that, and people scoffed at him and said, you can't predict it. This is God's plan, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's a premise for a movie right there, okay? And I if somebody ever said that to me, hey, do you want to watch this movie? I'd say no. Let's get to anything. I'd rather see your Wordle, whatever. I just don't. I wouldn't have any interest in that. So it doesn't make sense that I love this movie so much, but it might make sense if I tell you this. Okay, the air scenes are so beautifully done, where the two of them are trying to break the altitude record, which was something like, I think it was 23,000 feet. Now imagine that. That's what, 4 miles up with no breathing apparatus to help them, nothing. Well, they get up to a height of 36,000 feet with no life-sustaining devices or anything. But that's not really the call of this movie. That's not the reason I love it so much. One of the reasons is that Felicity Jones and Eddie Redmayne, they're not love interests. They don't fall in love. They're not husband and wife. They're not boyfriend and girlfriend. Their connection is that they both want to prove that they can predict the weather. And it's like, what? I don't know. Like I said, I can't completely put my finger why I keep getting drawn to this movie, but I'll try and sort it out in the end. There are flashbacks to Felicity Jones, her husband dying so that she might live in a ballooning accident because they weighed too much and there wasn't enough loft in the balloon. So he literally threw himself out of the gondola to save her. So she didn't know if she wanted to go up. And you see this really within the first 5 minutes. I'm not giving anything away. That's not the movie. That's not the point of this movie. It's the joyousness that they have when they're up in the air, and then the snow falling around them, the fact that they just did this because they just wanted to. They felt this need to do this, and they weren't going to be dissuaded no matter what happened. So there's all kinds of danger in the air. But one of the things I loved about the movie was I think the whole flight was something less than a half an hour, the real flight that they took. And this is based on a true story. And they map it out. And these graphics are so simply done where they show the balloon rising and they show the time, and then it keeps rising and the time and all the things that are happening in the gondola, them trying to just keep themselves alive. Well, there are all kinds of harrowing scenes, as you might imagine. But the beauty of the movie is that it just has this sort of hypnotic pacing to it that you can't turn away from. There's all this exposition, there's all this setup in the beginning. The balloon's about ready to take to the air, and people are waving. It's this great big thing in the town square, blah 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 blah, and that's nothing. It's all what happens in the gondola, which is, I don't know, maybe 40% of the movie. So you might say to yourself, Bob, what are you talking about? Are you going soft on us? No, I'm drunk again. But I want to say this.
Why do you love a movie so much about a balloon?
Yeah, why do you love the movie? I have to get the composer here. I am a sucker for soundtracks. I have, and I don't mean soundtracks like
Grease,
Grease with the and West Side Story. I mean just instrumental. Okay, I'm a sucker for soundtracks because when I'm watching a movie and something affects me in a really emotional way, I'm like, okay, I like this person. Whoever did this music, I got to go get that when this movie's over.
You cried during E.T.
Say it again.
You cried during E.T., didn't you?
I did. I
don't think you're human. I don't think you'd be considered human if you did not cry.
Well, yeah, you had to cry a little at E.T. But
Mr. Holland's Opus. Now that's
hey, that one. Yes, there's another one. I don't have the soundtrack to that. But the thing, the juice of this movie, the joy, the thing that propels them forward and just keeps you stuck to the screen is this soundtrack, because it never lets up. But it's not bombastic. It's by turns, loud and frightening depending on where they are in the air, and then it just kind of lilts along while the snow is falling. And it's by a guy named Stephen Price, who you might remember from I think it was Gravity. Did you see Fury? That was a great movie with Brad Pitt. I love that movie. Yeah, he did the soundtrack to that. So there is, and then the ending of this movie, everything goes along sort of exactly as you hoped it would, but then there is no huge climax. There's no tragedy. There's no I don't know what the word is. There are discoveries. They prove that there are airstreams. They prove that they can predict the weather, and they beat the snot out of the previous altitude record. What is that? 7 miles in the air with no breathing apparatus. No, I mean, Eddie Redmayne's up there literally in just a leather coat, right? So it just doesn't follow that I would love this movie so much. And I challenge you to watch it, because I want to talk to you guys about it. It ends beautifully, exactly the way it should. Maybe not the way you thought, but no romance, no nothing, but somehow it all works.
Jerry says, sounds like a ripoff of Up. I do have an important question for everyone based on the movie. If you were up in the balloon and would you jump out of the gondola to save the person you're with?
No.
What's the matter with you?
You would both die, or you'd kind of help the other person out?
I'd push the other person.
For sure.
I think you'd be surprised. I think that's sort of the point of the movie, because it does make you think. There's several flashbacks to that moment where Felicity Jones remembers her husband just looking at her, and she knows exactly what he's going to do, and she can't stop him, and he's doing it for her. And it does, you think about it many times from that moment on, would I do that? Maybe that's part of the reason that movie
Hang
is
on,
so
I got
good.
it. You tie the balloon to both of your backs, and then you parachute down, and you save everybody.
Well, Sal, you may have hit on a plot point in the movie. I don't know if it's true or not, but you might have.
All right.
Oh, really?
Sal,
Really?
Bob,
I'm gonna guess something. I
Sal,
never
Bob,
saw the
and
movie.
Nate
I
are
swear.
in the balloon together, and one of them has to be pushed out. Now, Nate has going for him that he produces your show, and you really can't have a show without.
That's
Nate.
true.
Right.
We can't
And
put
then you have
Nate
to
out.
then ask yourself, between Sal and Bob, who's the stronger of the Sal and Bob? And probably Bob's gonna have to jump. I mean, Sal's
Both going
doesn't
down.
go
Both
first.
I'm going to jump. I'm going to
All
jump.
right. Well, you
Yeah.
know, I think we're gonna check that out. We're gonna check that
Yeah.
out.
I mean, I
Good.
know what you were saying about the music, though. The music does hold it together. I mean, just yesterday I was watching Brazzers Babysitters Club, and the music.
All
Who did
right,
the score? Who did the
It's a
score on that
driving,
one?
thumping score, isn't it? It's a
I
penetrative
do want to kind of
thing.
guys. I do want to. Everyone say hi to Kathleen on Fireside Chat.
Hey, Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen.
She's been chatting along and she's been listening on the Fireside Chat app. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So that's the official ones that are done. I do want to I got a couple that I'm working on, but I'm not ready to kind of do a whole thing. But I started watching The Righteous Gemstones. Have you guys watched?
Yeah.
I paused it to do this.
Okay. So well, I'm not, I'm just in like season 1.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm kind of taking that all in. And then on my Soprano rewatch, because I haven't watched it since the original watch, I'm in season 5 of the
Ooh,
Sopranos
season
rewatch.
5.
Nice.
Okay.
And then if
I
you
mean-
guys watched, are you watching? I haven't watched today's book of Boba Fett, but are you guys?
No, I think they're mining that too much. They're going to have the janitor who worked the the garbage pit in A New Hope. They're going to resurrect him and give him. It's like, to me, it's like watching Hawkeye. He's just barely an Avenger. They just kind of let him in because they felt sorry for him. I don't know.
But my issue with Boba Fett is the same issue I kind of had with Solo, and then the same issue I had with the original prequel episodes. It's not that I have a problem with going backwards, but there's a difference. Like there's what I call it, home movie syndrome. Like if you know how like you grow up and you hear about things and like people tell the tales, right? Like, oh, your grandpa did this, or you did that, or you drew this picture when you were a kid, and like everyone's got those stories, right? Well, Star Wars is full of those stories, right? So, but they were all based on the memory of the people telling them and the mythos of the people telling those stories. So when you go back and you create them, well, now people have such a strong imprint of what they believed it was that it's almost impossible to make it as cool or meet any expectations. And then you have to also go back and start connecting dots that were never meant to connect because it wasn't meant to flow perfectly into the other story.
Yeah.
And it doesn't become an issue until you go back and you make it part of the story, right? So
Very good point.
So Boba, now they're like, I'm not against flashbacks. Like Godfather 2, had half the movie was flashbacks, but you don't go in with any expectations of those flashbacks. It's new story to you, right? So like with Boba Fett, here you have this mystique, very cool character that nobody really knows anything about. And then they spend a couple episodes giving you backstory. And it's like most of the articles you read, it's funny because they're like, they don't want to trigger the Star Wars fandom, but they're like, is Boba Fett boring? Like they're out, throwing it out there like, is this show boring? And it's like, and then they keep saying, oh, you're when you hit that finale episode, this is what they're telling us now. They're on episode 4. So let's say the finale is 6 or 8. I don't know how many. But I'm like, if I've got to watch 6 or 8 hours and only the last hour pulls it all together, you did something wrong.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to spend 8 hours and then in hindsight realize I just had a good time, right? So it's like, I don't know. They should, again, with the Boba Fett, it's not a problem with the character, but they brought him in cool in The Mandalorian, and they should have gone forward, but they started to do all this backstory.
See,
backstory. How did he get that little weapon that he has? We don't need to know. He just has it, right?
Yeah.
Just like we didn't know how he got his armor. We didn't know how he disintegrated. You know what I mean? It's like, we don't need to know. We didn't know how. We need to know how. We didn't need to see the Kessel Run. The only cool thing in the Boba Fett thing is when they do show him in the Sarlacc getting out of that was pretty cool. That was cool. But that was like 3 seconds. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I'm sticking with it. But I just, it's just one of those things where I wish they would just not try to keep making things that they've already.
He's supposed to be dead in the Sarlacc. That's it. That's what is that? 45 years now, and now they've show him climbing out of. It's too much.
I think there was always some non-canon or something. I'm speaking out of turn because I don't know 100%, but that he had gotten out or something like that. I don't have a problem with him escaping. It was kind of a lame way for a cool character to go.
Yeah.
But I'm digging the Righteous Gemstones. I'll just kind of pre-say it without going into it because I want to give it its full due. But I wanted to finish the first season. But Danny McBride sometimes can be a little too Danny McBride for me. But this is I find a really original show. Like it feels different than other shows in a good way. And a lot of penises unnecessarily. I don't know why.
Like Bruno.
Like full frontal male nudity, like you wouldn't believe. And as my wife said, and my wife's like, not the good kind. But anyway. All right. Well, this is a fun episode, guys. This is good.
It was fun. Good to be with you, fellas.
Thanks to our pals on the Fireside Chat app. Thank you, Kathleen. Tell all your friends. Thanks to our sponsor, the Nextdoor app. And Nate, plug your podcast again so everyone.
It's called Weekend Up, Nate, and you can find it everywhere you can find podcasts.
It's a very funny, it's a very well done podcast.
Yeah,
very entertaining.
I find that I never really fully execute whatever I'm supposed to do on this show.
It started with the song, and it really
there's only 57 hours of examples you could have drawn from. Here's the funny thing about Nate. This is 100% huge compliment. Nate is hilarious. He tweets hilarious tweets, but he doesn't get any love on Twitter. He then takes images of his tweets, and they freaking blow up on Instagram. Right. And they're almost funnier on Instagram just seeing an image of them than they
are for some reason. I don't get it. I don't get it. And sometimes, like, I'll throw something out on Twitter and I'm like, hey, if this does well, I'll definitely move it over to Instagram. Right. and then sometimes that one will tank on Instagram. I don't get it. But
when you have no likes on all the social medias, you don't have to worry about that.
He's not as social as we are, Sal. We're so social.
Nobody is.
No, so, all right. Well, all right. So everyone check out Nate's
very funny tweets and
very funny tweets.
Yes.
His Instagram,
social media.
Instagram, Nate Comedy.
Nate Comedy.
At Nate Comedy.
So check him out on Instagram and his podcast. Ron, say goodnight to everyone.
Yeah, Wednesday nights, man, 9:30, Crossing Streams and select podcasts near you. Thanks, guys.
All right. Bob, say goodnight, man.
All right, you can check us out tomorrow night at Genetti's Hole in the Wall Theater in downtown Northville, Michigan. The Sal and Bob Show live with comedians Melanie Hearn, Jason Gilleran, and Dan Britton. Is that right?
Yes.
And our musical accompaniment, Rick Canzano. And then you can see me at the Ann Arbor Comedy Showcase, February 4th and 5th.
Nice.
Sal.
Everything Bob just said about Sal and Bob at Genetti's, and then saldamelia.com. And that's it. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
And then,
are we done already?
Well, I'm going to go if that's okay. And then,
I'm saying like
this is big news. My return to stand-up comedy. Though don't come because it'll be the first time I do it. You can come on Friday or Saturday with J. Chris Newberg at One Night Stands Thursday or February the 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
All right, he's back
Awesome.
at it.
I'm back. And with,
You
with-
can't stop.
with my eyes set on one day being again on the Janetti show. And then check out my podcast live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show. Lots of great comedian Tammy Pescatelli on this week. A Detroit legend musician next week. And then my 100th episode, January 31st. So that'll be
The centennial episode.
the centennial episode. 100
That
episodes.
interview. Who's going to be the interview of the 100th episode?
I will unveil that in a week.
Wow.
I'm unveiling it early, but which I never do. All right. Well, thanks everyone.
Give Nate the password to that.
All right. See you later, everyone. Thank you. And that has been another episode of Crossing the Streams. Join us every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, live on Facebook and YouTube. Follow the Jeff Dwoskin Show on YouTube to be alerted every time we go live with your hosts, Jeff Dwoskin, Ron Lippett, Howard Rosner, Bob Phillips, Sal D'Amelio. We're all in the socials. Follow us. Listen to our podcast, live from Detroit, the Jeff Dwoskin Show, the Sal and Bob Show. Check them all out, and we'll see you next week and every week when we cross more streams right here. See you then.